Hi, we are today going to talk about gas laws. This is just the part 1. So, as you can see sa inyong module, guys, let's move on to the next slide. We have the ideal gas law there. However, the ideal gas law has been derived from a combination of the laws ni Boyle, ni Charles, kag ni Avogadro. And there's actually another one, the Gay-Lussac law. So all these 4 laws, Boyles Law, Charles Law, and Avogadro's Law, and Gay-Lussac's Law, they have all these components of your ideal gas law. They have the pressure which is in atm. You have your volume in liters. You have your N or number of moles, nga naka-mole of course. Ang R naton is the universal gas constant. We have it given up here. Otherwise, if you can't remember it properly, guys, it's the constant 27 sa aton nga 991 ES plus ng calculator. Otherwise, you can just look at the back of your calculators. And the one that you will find sa calculate nyo is actually in joules per mole Kelvin. Okay? And finally, we have your temperature, which is in Kelvin. So, gagmay nga constants, no? If you are given, just in case, pressure in pascals, just remember nga 1 atmosphere is equal to 101,325 pascals. Okay? Also, if you were given temperature in degrees Celsius, just remember that Kelvin is equal to degrees Celsius plus 273. Okay? So, base may makita ka mo nga 273.15, don't worry, just put there 273. Okay? So, it's as if round off na lang kita. So, let's move on to these 4 gas laws. Okay? The first one is your Boyles Law. It states that at a given temperature and number of moles of gas, the pressure and volume of gas are inversely proportional. So, PV is equal to constant or P1 V1 equals P2 V2. So, how does that work? Okay, imagine guys nga dumiyara kita sa container diri or a piston, no? This one. Dako ta siya gamay. Okay. So, what happens is, you have a certain amount of gas in there. So, galaptan na sila nga ito nga gas. And then, mayara sila sang kaugalingon nga volume at this point. So, the first volume is called V1. Also, mayara sila sang ilang nga pressure. So, that's P1. So, it's also in the drawing. Now, if I am going to put pressure on it, so there's a new pressure, P2, ang iya sina nga volume will also change. So, you have a new volume, V2. And it's inversely proportional because the higher your pressure, the lower your volume. Or, the lower your pressure, the higher your volume. So, kung pirsahan mo siya todo, so, dako imo pressure, ang imo nga volume gamay. That's why they are inversely proportional. The equation for that now is P1 V1 equals P2 V2. So, observe guys, if it's inversely proportional, we are multiplying both the initial states, P1, V1. Okay, so let's pagamay this again. Okay, oops. We are going to solve the given problem. At 1.7 atmospheres, a sample of gas takes up 4.25 liters. So, a good rule of thumb is to write down all you're given. So, what we have is P1, which is 1.7 atmospheres. We have your new first volume naton is 4.25 liters. Pressure sang gas naton gin-increase. So, that's the new pressure, 2.4 atmospheres. Kag ang ginapangita ang new volume, which is V2. Question mark na siya. Now, playing with our equation nga P1 V1 equals P2 V2, ang ato nga P1 V1 as is, pero si V2 Si P2, gali P2, transpose na siya sa piyak sa equation. So, P2 goes here para ang mabilin sa piyak sa atong equation, si V2 na lang. Substitute na lang dayon. So, 1.7 atmospheres. V1 naton is 4.25 liters all over 2.4 atmospheres equals V2. Cancel out ang aton nga atmosphere. Kag dapat kabalo ka mo nga ang mabilin na lang gid nga unit is liters kay volume ang ginapangita mo. Now 1.7 times 4.25 divided by 2.4, we have 3.01 liters. So V2 3.01 liters. Okay, and then draw a box around it. As you can see guys, ang aton nga new volume is going to be smaller because ang aton nga new pressure is higher. So remember that. Kung medyo lang alang inyo nga sabat, then feel mo na nga sa laka. Pero mo na siya. So as you can see, P2 became higher, so ang aton nga V2 became lower compared to 4.25. Okay? Well, that is Boyle's Law. This time, let's talk about Charles' Law. Charles' Law states that at a given pressure and number of moles of gas, the volume and temperature of a gas are directly proportional. So, when you say directly proportional, ang aton subong nga volume ma-increase kung ang aton nga temperature ma-increase. Or, you can also say the volume will decrease if the temperature decreases. So, do pareho man na bala guys nga gasiling ka mo nga ang isa ka bagay kung init, ga-expand na siya. Sometimes, it's not obvious, especially sa mga metal beer or something like that. Let's imagine yes, you have your water. So, as it increases temperature, it actually forms into a gas, and then of course, galapad magid ang aton nga sakop sa aton mga molecules. So with that, ang aton nga volume ga-increase as your temperature increases. Now earlier, if it was inversely proportional, ga-multiply kita, but this time what happens is V1 over T1 equals V2 over T2. Pero para hapos na lang sa ulohon, medyo ma-cross multiply kita, and this turns your formula into V1 T2 equals V2 T1. Okay? Sa aton diri nga drawing, amo na siya ginastoryahan ta, no? So, kung painitan mo gani ang aton nga tubig, medyo maawas-awas ang aton nga kaldero, masaka iya nga taklog because of that. That's Charles' Law. Now, we have here a little example. So, ang aton nga given, ilista ta man Japon. Pagkamayon ta ni Danay. To give space. Hindi na siya. Okay. Okay, ang aton nga temperature 1 is 40 degrees Celsius. It occupies a volume, so V1 na siya, 2.32 liters. Now, if the temperature is raised to 75, so that's T2, 75 degrees Celsius, what will the new volume be? That's V2, ay takabalo. Before you solve, you have to convert your temperature to Kelvin. So, add 273. Add 273. Amo ni ang gamiton niyo dayon. Now, 40 plus 273 is 313 kelvins. 273 plus 75, that is 348 kelvins. Okay? Playing with our equation, so if you want V2 to remain on this side of the equation, V1, T2 as is lang, pero si T1, transpose mo di sa piyak. So, V1, T2 over T1 na siya. That is your V2. Substituting everything, 2.32 times T2 natin, 348. Oops. Let's move these guys para may lugar. Okay. There you go. So, ang V1 natin, again, that was 2.32 liters. Ang T2 natin, 348 Kelvin. All over. T1, 313 Kelvin. So, since we are looking for volume, dapat ang mabilin nga unit liters. Cancel out si Kelvin. And let's see. 2.32 times 348 divided by 313. Ang aton nga V2 is 2.58 liters. Okay? So, yep. As you can see guys, ang aton nga volume nag-increase when our temperature also increased. So, amo na siya ang Charles Law. Okay? Let's move on to the next. Now, Avogadro's law is quite easy to understand. Given biyang inyong nga temperature and pressure constant, ang volume kuno of a gas is directly proportional to the number of moles. So, it's as if, guys, miyara ka mo balloon. So, originally, huyupan mo siya gamay. So, you are presenting a certain number of moles into the balloon. But if you pump it further with an air pump maybe, or in this drawing, a gas cylinder, then ginapuno mo pagid siya sang hangin, gasaka ang imo number of moles. Yeah? So, with that, ang aton nga number of moles increases, or actually, sulion ta ha, ang aton nga volume ga-increase as the number of moles increases. And of course, kung pakupuson mo ang imo nga balloon, so panubuon mo ang iya nga volume, ang number of moles yan sa sulod gamay man. Okay? And because they are directly proportional, ang aton nga equation is V1 over N1 equals V2 over N2. But for you to memorize it easier, again, cross-multiply na lang natin. So that's V1 and 2 equals V2 and 1. Okay? And let's adjust this. Oops. Tangko siya. Okay, we have an example here. So 1 mole of helium gas. You have N equals 1 mole. Fills up an empty balloon to a volume of 1.5 liters. So, V1 natin is 1.5 liters. What would be the volume of the balloon if an additional 2.5 moles of helium gas is added? So, guys, bantay ka mo sa inyo nga problem. It says here that an additional 2.5 moles of helium gas is added. But silingon, sa sugod-sugod pa lang, may 1 na nga daan, pero ginbutangan niyo pagid additional nga 2.5. But silingon, ang isulat niyo sa N2 niyo is 3.5 moles. Okay? Ang ginapangita, V2. Alright. Now, playing with our equation, this guy, ang aton nga gusto mabilin in this side of the equation is V2. So, N1 transposed na sa piyak. That's now V1 and 2 over N1 equals V2. So, also guys, not all the time volume ang ginapangita ha. Sometimes it's number of moles, sometimes it's temperature. It just so happens with these examples. So, you have to know how to transpose and do everything. Now, moving on, no? Ang aton nga equation, V2 equals, si V1 naton 1.5 liters times ang N2 is 3.5 moles. All over, ang aton nga N1 is 1 mole. So, volume ginapangita, dapat ang answer liters. Cancelled out ang 2 ka moles. So, ang aton nga answer is 1.5 times 3.5 divided by 1 equals 5.25 liters. Okay? And that is your Avogadro's law. Let's move on to the last one. Now, for Gay-Lussac's law, it states that the pressure of a given mass of gas varies directly with the Kelvin temperature when the volume remains constant. So, Pt equals constant or P1 over T2 equals P2 over T1. So, sa nakita niyo siguro so far, no, ang tanan-tanan naton, Gay-Lussac's, Avogadro's, and Charles, it's 1 times 2 equals 2 times 1. Si Boyles lang ang 1 times 1 equals 2 times 2. So, just, practice ka mo sa pinakamayo nga paagi nga masaulo nyo ni siya, okay? Important gid na siya. Now, how did this whole thing become directly proportional? So, as you can see ang aton diri nga image, no, we have two pistons again. We are not going to change the pressure. So, as is lang na siyang pressure naton kag ang number of moles. So, kung ano kadamo ang hangin diri sa first naton nga piston, it's also the same as the second one. But, if you are going to heat up this piston, guys, ang aton nga molecules will start to panic, kumaga mapalak sila. And that panic causes it to increase in pressure. Kaya hindi siya kapasaka sa volume mo. So, ang imuon niya lang, ang pressure niya, kusugon niya lang. So, kung ang guwasin na, kung pariyo man dyan po nga sulodlan, initon mo, may aras ang case ng iban, galupok, di ba, ga-explode sila, kaya tungod ang pressure sa sulod is too much na gali. And that is what governs your Gay-Lussac's law. Okay. Now, an example here is regarding the pressure in a car tire. So, the first pressure naton is 1.88 atmospheres. Ang iasin nga temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. So, since naka-Celsius siya, alert na ka mga daan and add 273. So, 25 plus 273 is 298 kelvins. The question is, what is the pressure going to be if the temperature is, or if the whole car tire warms up to 37 degrees Celsius? So, wala man na hambal nga additional. So, we just know that it's 37 degrees Celsius. No problem, just add 273 to convert it to Kelvin. 273 plus 37 gives us 310 Kelvin. Okay. So, what we want is for P2 to remain in this equation. So, si T1, transpose natin sa piyak. Our new equation is P1 T2 over T1 equals P2. Okay. So, P2 equals, kamayon tayo to give space, no? Okay. So, P2 equals, P1 natin nga 1.88 atmospheres times ang T2, T2 na din. T2 is 310 kelvins. All over, ang T1 natin nga 298 kelvins. So, cancelled out ang ating nga kelvins. And now, our P2 is 1.88 times 310 divided by 298. And that gives us 1.96 atmospheres. So, we have the answer here. As you can see, ang aton nga pressure, nag-increase man gid siya. From 1.88, it became 1.96 atmospheres because our temperature has also increased. From 298, it became 310 kelvins. Okay? And those are the 4 gas laws.